Super Rugby Power Rankings for round number 4, folks. The competition goes on. My Blues beat the Crusaders. How is that going to affect their ranking? The Brumbies dropped their first game. Likewise, the Tars got a bit of a hiding. We'll go through them from bottom to top. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how you reckon the teams are going with their form. And we'll compare it to the table. We're starting with the bottom side. I've got Moana Pacifica. They started the competition so well with their away win over the Drua, but that's looking like a long time ago now. It is another loss. That's 3 on the bounce for Moana. They weren't given much of a chance against the Chiefs away from home. They did score maybe more points than they were predicted to with 20-odd, but yeah, 3 in a row for Moana. They are down 2 spots, and 11th of the Power Rankings matches their 11th spot on the table. Then we got the Force, who suffered a loss against the Highlanders down in Dunedin. Their record is like Moana's at 1 win, 3 losses. They are in 10th on the table. I got them down 2 spots. That was a real tit-for-tat game against the Highlanders. I don't think it was a terrible loss, but in the scheme of just like wins and losses, strength of opposition, yeah, it was a winnable game for the Force, but it didn't come through. And then I got the Drua, who are up 2 spots on the bye. How does that work? Well, they didn't lose, and the 2 sides that dropped below them lost, so it'll kind of work itself out because the Force and the Moana boys haven't had a bye yet. So if the Drua lose one and the Force or Moana get a bye, they'll likely swap back, but still plenty of rugby to be played for both of those sides. Then we got these guys who had a win. The Highlanders, they're up out of the bottom row. I've got them up 2 spots. As I said, it was a bit of a tit-for-tat game against the Force. It was a much-needed win for the Highlanders after opening their account with a win, 2 losses. They've bounced back with a win, so they've got a 50-50 record, which, to be fair, is better record than some of the sides that I've got ranked above them. But remember, I carried over a little bit of data from last year, like the Crusaders. Kind of got a bit of a head start for coming in as champions on the Power Rankings. We're giving them a bit of credit. That's why the Crusaders, who've got a worse record than the Highlanders, are above the Highlanders, but we're reducing the weighting of the early rounds and last seasons as we go week by week. So it is early days still in the season, but 4 rounds in, it's getting into the meat of it, isn't it? So Highlanders, they are in 8th. Their spot on the table is 7th, so it's not too much between them. Then these guys, these are your biggest movers this week, and not in a good way, the Waratahs. A few people said last week's Power Rankings the Waratahs are a bit overrated, and I think that proved to be the case because they've gone from 2nd down to 7th. Part of the reason is they've gone from 100% record down to like 66% because they were 2-0 with a bye, so that kind of maybe had them a little bit artificially inflated. But yeah, they got absolutely dealt to by the Hurricanes. That was a terrible, terrible performance by the Waratahs. Absolutely back down to earth. 5 spots is probably too many to drop them. But that was a home loss by a massive margin. So they have been well and truly punished. On the actual log, I think they're 5th. So the Power Rankings have punished them a bit. Then there's the Crusaders, who based on results should be lower. But like I said, they are the reigning champions. So you've kind of got to have it in the back of your mind. They're probably going to come right. But they are 1 from 3, which is the same record as Moana and the same record as the Force. They lost to the Blues, didn't score a point in the second half at Eden Park. Didn't quite look like the Crusaders usually look. They were without Will Jordan, but if they're going to start turning it around, they need to get a move on because, as I said, it's still early days, but the season ain't that long. We're already 4 rounds in. And then my Blues are up, 2 spots. The Crusaders are down 2. Blues are up 2. The Blues are 4th on the actual table. I've got them 1 spot below that. 2-2 record is the same as the Highlanders. Both sides have beaten the Crusaders. Maybe it's a good time to play the Crusaders at the moment because the Crusaders, barring that one result over the Chiefs, haven't, I don't want to say they've looked like a shell of their former selves, but they haven't clicked like we know they're probably going to click at some point yet this season. So, yeah, I was pretty happy with the Blues win. We don't usually have a good record against the Crusaders. Discipline's still not that great, but Caleb Clark still on fire. So, yeah, no complaints from this Blues fan. Then the top row. These lads, the Reds. up into 4th. They are up 1 spot with that last-minute win over the Brumbies. They've got now a 2-1 record, remembering the Reds have already had a bye. So we've got a little bit less information about where they are at so far. They've got the Tars next, I think. So that'll be an interesting one because both sides have got a 2-1 record. So it'll be kind of who's the contender, who's the pretender, maybe between those two teams. But yeah, they had to stick in that game to the last minute. I know it was a controversial end because there might have been a knock-on in it, but they stuck in it and got the win. Then these guys, the Hurricanes, have got your jersey on because you're a big mover this week as well. Up 3 spots. You're 3rd on the actual table, so we're matching in that regard. Also a 2-1 record, having also had a bye in that opening week. So far, it's been a bit of a mixture because you've flogged Moana, lost over in Lautoko against Fiji, and then you've flogged the Tars. So you're very up and down, but you've only played 3 games. Now, who do you give number 1 spot to? Is it the Chiefs or is it the Brumbies? By the ever so slimmest margin, the power rankings have stuck the Chiefs in 2 and the Brumbies in 1. You could probably have it either way. The actual table has the Brumbies first and the Chiefs second, so maybe it's kind of similar in that regard. The Chiefs are up 1 spot. They got a big win over Moana. Moana's a pretty lowly ranked side, so I didn't give them as much credit as if they'd beaten a better team. They lost the week before to the Crusaders by a mighty margin at home, and then the Brumbies lost at home, only by a small margin, so there's very little in it between those two top sides. They've both got 3-1 records. But yeah, nobody is undefeated now. So the Brumbies, who did have a pretty substantial lead in the power rankings, have now been brought back very much in line with everybody else. But Chiefs are on the bye next, so likely the Brumbies stay top unless they lose, in which case the Chiefs will certainly go above them. But you guys, let us know your thoughts. Who would be your number 1 side after 4 rounds of Super Rugby action? Are the Crusaders overrated, or do you think they will also come back into it? You guys take care, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.